I see I've got a few on here already, and we're going to start our tour in about 10 and a half minutes. But so I can tell you a little bit about myself and then a little bit about what we're going to do tonight. Karina, Ruth, Pamela, Joe, good evening. Hope you guys are having a wonderful evening so far. Maybe you've got to see some other Heygo tours already today. So I'm having a little bit of noise right here because I'm kind of up in a little area that's, well, there's parking up here, but there's also a couple of little businesses, one around the corner. Krissa, and John from Norwich. Hey, good to see you again, John. Janitska. If you guys can hear me okay, just give me a thumbs up, and then I'll know that my audio is working. Hi, Joy. Joy's joining us tonight, and blowing a hula here in Northern Ireland. Looks better where you are, yeah. Blowing a hula. That may be an Irish term. I don't know. I've never heard of that, Joe, but that's funny. Yeah, it's actually pretty nice here. It is like in the probably lower 50s right now, upper 40s tonight probably for the low. And I see Maria C. and Mary R. and Joe is made you smile. Yeah. So anyway, I'm Rick. And thank you for joining me on my Heygo tour tonight. I'm going to do an evening stroll through Tavira, Portugal. So tell you guys a little bit about the city, show you a few things, and a little about myself, give you a chance to ask questions and maybe see some things new that you haven't seen yet. I know some of you have been on my tours before, so some of this may be repeat for you, but if you have any questions, just go ahead and throw those up in the chat window. So behind me, there's a dome of a church, and I did a tour this morning called Two Gardens and a View from a Castle Wall, I think is what I called it. So we started in the garden of this church behind me, the church of... that's behind me is the Church of San Francisco, St. Francis, I guess is the kind of English term of that. And so there's a nice little garden over there. And then we went up to where the old castle walls are at the highest point of the city to get a nice view off the castle walls and enjoy the botanical garden that's up there. This is a really nice one. I'm going to move on down the street here a little ways. So like I said, we haven't quite got our tour completely started yet, but I'm going to get down here away from some of the traffic. Let me turn this around a little bit so you can see where I'm going. Some of these sidewalks are pretty narrow, so you kind of have to really be aware of the traffic alongside of you and such. They do post crosswalks fairly often. Looks like Lori made it. Thanks, Lori. Pamela H. Is this the town you moved to? Yes, Pam, this is it. This is Tavira, Portugal. And so you're getting to join for tonight. We'll go see the town square and some other things. There's some road signs just showing you where some of the other places are around this area. Faro is the closest big city to us. It's about a 30 to 40 minute drive. And there's an airport there, so you could be at the airport in about 40 minutes. And so that's convenient. And it's an international airport, so people fly in from all over Europe. And we have had connecting flights through Amsterdam from the U.S. to get over here through Faro. And then there's other... Do I speak Portuguese? I don't really speak any Portuguese, Joe, but in the area that I live, in the Algarve region, most people here that are Portuguese speak enough English that we can communicate, especially people that are in the businesses, that are in the stores, restaurants, and and things like that, tourist areas. This is the whole Algarve region is in the southern part of Portugal. It's in the sunnier region of Portugal, about 300 sunny days a year. And so I hate to say that I've kind of become lazy on trying to learn the language. I initially started on some things and then kind of dropped off whenever we got here. And I found that so many people spoke English that I just was able to kind of, do what I needed to do. If I go to the post office, there's somebody there that speaks English or other things like that. So anyway, these signs are just other thing. The terminal Rodovario is going to be the train station, which is about 7 minutes from my house by walking. And so the train and the bus system here in Portugal is very good. Friendliest people, yeah, Pam, they are. And I got Terry H. and KL has joined tonight. Welcome. And so the Bomberos, that is the fire department. A22 is the major highway. Oh, good. I'm glad you got to visit Portugal. Yeah, it's lovely here. And in the big cities, most people are going to speak English well enough for you to get by. You want to learn the language as much as you can, of course, just to honor them and their, their culture and everything. So the other road signs I'm going to show you on here, this Turismo is going to be the tourist information. There's a building down there. The tribunal is the court system. So, and that's where that building is. And then the Camara Municipal is the municipal building. How's the job market for nurses? Karina, I really couldn't tell you. I know they have both a private and public healthcare system here in Portugal. We actually went through the D7 process and visa process and got our residency permit. Matter of fact, we just got our cards in the mail this week. We went through the process, started in, I guess it was June of 2022. By September 14th, we were able to move over here, 2022. Yeah, it is very clean, Joe. This town is especially clean. And so then our immigration appointment with it's called SEF, the SEF office is the immigration office here in Portugal. We met with them on January 30th. We had to go in and just basically verify all of our information, that we had a lease with an apartment here for, they want you to have a minimum 1-year lease of an apartment or own some property here. Whether they're supposed to be like where I live in Central California, I would say, yeah, Pam, that's probably about right. Now, the winter times, there's kind of a little bit damp, cold, and cloudy and rainy. But when I say cold, it drops down into the 40s. I don't think it's ever gotten down to freezing here since we've been here. And now we're up into, the middle of February. So I think the days have actually started getting warmer this week a little bit. You can kind of feel it in the air. So, springtime's coming. And not going to go too far because I know we're waiting on actual official start time in about a minute and a half. So I'll just go ahead, and when that's time, I will go ahead and switch the camera around and get another view, introducing myself. The green sign here, the big flashy green sign, is the pharmacy sign. They have quite a few pharmacies in town. They're small, and they usually have like a variety of things on the shelves of beauty products and stuff like that. All the pharmacy, the pharmaceuticals are behind the counter. Oh, Karina, yeah, it is nice that you want to move here. A lot of people do. There's a lot of Americans and people from UK move over here and retire, or are able to work online and things like that. I think, you asked about the job market for nurses. To me, it seems like there's always a job for nurses somewhere. But as far as like, you might look into the private clinics that are here, and there's a chance that if you could learn to speak Portuguese, that would be an option for you. I know most English speaking expats that are over here do go ahead and use the private hospitals and private clinics, get insurance. So the insurance for private care is fairly inexpensive here, a lot less expensive than the U.S. I'd say that. And then once you're a resident, you can get into the public healthcare system if you want to use the public healthcare system, and it's a good system. They have really good healthcare here. It's just a little bit slower to get appointments, things like that. It's more limited, and a lot of people that move here that are able to afford their insurance and use private healthcare do that just to not increase the burden on the public healthcare system the Portuguese people here use. And so, like Deborah says, friends of mine from Winnipeg, Canada, currently minus 14, arrived there today on their Portugal holiday. Told them to watch for you and say hi. All right. Well, thanks for that shout out, Deborah. Yeah. I am actually going to be walking downtown here in a few minutes. Oh, Pink Floyd. Yeah. There's concerts here coming to nearby to Faro. And so a typical rent for a nice apartment, that varies so much depending on the area and stuff like that. But in a town like Tavira, you would probably be looking at anywhere from, I would say on the low end, maybe 600 euros to up to, 1,000 euros, maybe depending on the building. Of course, they're going to be higher than that. Some other places, if you go more rural or other places around Portugal, you'll be able to find less expensive deals. And some people will buy property over here. Yeah, so somebody mentioned Pink Floyd. Yep. So that is going to be Altice Arena. I think that is in, not sure what city that's in, but I'll have to look that one up. I can post, and that depends on the price of the apartments, depends on, if you have utilities paid or if it's inclusive in that, or if you pay your own utilities, other things like that. But, I'm just kind of throwing out a ballpark figure there for kind of close to this area. There are a lot more expensive, but you should be able to find something in the area of 1,000 euros or less for an apartment for a couple. If you need a bigger apartment for a family, and of course that's gonna be more. So here's some little stores along the way. A little concept store. That's what this one's called, and got a variety of things here, and a little clothing, accessories. Got a little bit of some china here. And this is their hours. So they got Tuesday through Saturday. A lot of times you'll see signs that are going to be in Portuguese and English as well. So there's so many English-speaking people come to Portugal, and especially to the Algarve region on the southern end of Portugal, where the weather is warmer and there's nice, warm, sandy beaches. As a matter of fact, I'm planning to do a tour next week. I think probably on Tuesday. I haven't got it posted yet because I was looking at the tide tables and the times and all of that. Lisbon area. Okay, thanks, John. Posting that. John's real helpful about helping me when he's on my tours to kind of fill in some gaps, information whenever I'm like unsure of something. So I'm not an expert tour guide. I am just someone that likes to travel, take pictures, write. When I don't write as much as Lori. My wife is a wonderful writer, and so she posts a lot of things on our website, rickandlori'sgrandadventure.com, and on our Facebook site. So you can go there to see some of our other excursions and things that we've done over the past 4 years that we've been married, 4.5 now. And we're posting as we go now. So we made the leap of faith and decided to go full time into travel, to move to Portugal, and to use this area as our anchor for seeing Europe. And we're trying to make the online businesses work to support our travel habit and lifestyle. So yes, Pam, we actually do. We have a couple rental properties in the U.S. and one in Oklahoma and one in Oregon. So my family lives in Oklahoma. A lot of my family's there, and then Lori, a lot of her family lives out in Oregon. So we've lived both places. Be at Tavira in mid-April. Oh, nice, John. Great. Well, look us up, man. We'll hang out. Go have a cup of coffee or something. And I'm just waiting here. We've got a couple people on the sidewalk and don't want to interrupt what they're doing. They're getting seated for dinner. So I'm going to actually use this opportunity to cross the street and come on down here. It's kind of quiet here. Of course, this is like off season, but you can see that some of the restaurants are open. There's one across the way here. And so I'm on the kind of the main street that goes through the town square. This is Rua de Liberdade, which is Liberty Street. Little balconies. Yeah, these little kind of, Lori calls them princess balconies. They're just like a kind of a wrought iron lattice. Some of them are a little bit deeper than others. We have one on our apartment that is about this, like this. You can just barely step out a little bit to not a place to sit. On the back, we have Juliet balcony. Oh, nice. Yeah. So some of these, a lot of people you'll find using bicycles in this area. Europe is, I think, a lot more prone to being able to use bicycles, and streets and everything are set up for it. Now, you'll notice here that the streets here are cobblestone. This is a sidewalk, but this road is made of the same material and format. So riding in a car on this can be kind of rough. Riding on a bicycle, anything like that. Get that turned back around. And walking on it's okay. You got some good walking shoes and stuff like that. When it rains, they can get a little bit slick. So, yeah, like I said, we're off season now, so some of these places are closed. They'll be open on the weekend with extended hours. A lot of the restaurants close in afternoon, so they'll stay open from like noon to 2:30 or 3, and then they'll close until 7. So people in Portugal usually have a later dinner hour than the U.S. I don't know about other areas of the world, but in the rest of Europe, but Portuguese people like to have that time off in the afternoon, and it's a lot slower pace here, at least than the U.S. So I'm getting closer to downtown here. I'm going to go ahead and do make a vertical shot here. So people were asking about the balconies. So here's a building with some of the kind of little nice, pretty little balconies out here on the edge. You can hear some music back here. There's a club, private club behind me that plays music, live music on occasion. Sounds like they got a saxophone player over there tonight. And these stores have a lot of these Forca Portugal stores, Forca Portugal. In like each town, it seems like has one of these stores. Even the smaller cities and towns, not real small, but probably 10, 15,000 people or more. They'll have one of those, and they have all the Portuguese sports uniforms. So football, or what we Americans call soccer, is a really big sport over here. And so a lot of people play it throughout their life as children, and then growing up. Some, of course, go on to be professional athletes. And the big superstar, of course, in Portugal is Ronaldo, Cristiano Ronaldo. So he's played for Portugal. He played for many years and became a big star here in Portugal. I'm going to go ahead and pan around here and see if I can get close enough for you guys to see some of the properties that are for sale in the area. And this is kind of hard to read. That one is. So you're asking about property. These are actually the properties for sale. And these are kind of more inclusive luxury. This is a 3-bedroom, a T3. The 3 means 3 bedrooms, and it's got 2 baths, 199 square meters. And it looks like it has a pool and a garage, 739,000 euros. There's a place out of town here. It's a home, separate building. And okay, they switched on me here, so looks like there went to a T2. So this T2 is 175,000 euros. That's a 2-bedroom, 2 bath, 76 square meters in Tavira. So we got others down here. There's a T3 for 340,000 euros, 2-bedroom or 2 bath, 135 square meters. So that gives you a little bit of an idea about the cost. And so they're not all cheap properties. I know a lot of articles you may read talk about how cheap it is to live in Portugal. And it is less expensive than the U.S., most parts of the U.S. But by the time you add in, your expenses for housing and things like that, it can be similar to maybe like a Midwestern town or something like that in the U.S. We've got so more rural is less expensive, of course. And if you want to live in a place like the Algarve region, like here, where it's really touristy, a lot of the prices of the buildings and the housing and stuff here is predicated on tourism. So it's really hard to find a 1-year lease here because the property owners want to lease out their property in the summertime during the peak tourist season, because they can rent for a few months and make as much as if they had rented for a whole year to a regular tenant. And then they can rent in the off season at a lower price to people that want to stay in the apartment for the other, say, 8 or 9 months of the year. This is just there's a sign up there about the Islamic Museum. There's an Islamic museum right over here. This is the tourist office. We saw the sign earlier, directed us down here. And they have, brochures and things like that, and maps and so forth. During the day, I'm surprised none of these restaurants are open tonight, but well, they may be open. They're just not, just maybe this one here is open over there, but not a lot of people out tonight. Like I said, it's off season. So Beta, Chelsea, thanks for coming. Sam, Shirley, Ontario, nice to see you. This is, again, it's a little different view. I've done this tour before, kind of walking down through Tavira in the daytime, but it's kind of nice to see it lit up at night when the weather's nice. And I'm going to cross over here. There's a little fountain over here, a little pool by the municipal building. So I'm going to get you a little look at that, maybe do a postcard of that. And I don't know if you can hear the water. I've got my windsock on my microphone, on my lapel microphone. It's pretty peaceful here. So what kind of questions do you guys have for me? I'm just, yeah, it is, Shirley. Here, I want to get a postcard of this. I'm going to do a vertical. This is a World War I memorial for veterans and soldiers that fought in World War I for the Portuguese army. Portugal actually sided and fought alongside of Britain. And oh, it reminds you of Nice, France. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I think I put it in the description for this. When you move there, how do you get to make friends? Okay, Pam. Well, one thing that we did, we joined a Facebook group and learned a lot about the process of moving to Portugal from a Facebook group called American Friends and PT. And through that, we made some friends and actually made a friend that was able to get us a 1-year lease on an apartment. And we were about 2.5 weeks out from our visa appointment in San Francisco. And we actually had to fly to San Francisco to present there at an office that's called a VFS. They're the company that handles all of the intake of visa documents for the U.S. and other countries for the Portuguese consulate. Polly had a couple of attempts at headhunting. As a tutor midwife, too late. I was thinking of taking early retirement. Yeah. There are some online things you can do here, teach English and those kind of things. The Portuguese wages to get like a regular job doing something in Portugal are pretty low. And so unless you have some income from the U.S. or if whatever country you're moving from, I guess, you can have a retirement income or that kind of thing. Or if you've built up a significant amount of assets that you can use to make the jump. So a lot of people do that. And here's a little, I'm going to kind of go over here because this is kind of a funny little thing. They have statues that they put up. I say statues. They're, I guess, figures for bringing people in. Just something funny they put out front. This is Tavira Romana Gelataria. So, yeah, it is. Tavira is a small town. Like I said, I think I mentioned it's about 25,000 population for the municipality. And I think that includes Santa Lucia, which is a little ways east of here. I did a tour the other day at Santa Lucia. It's called the Octopus Capital of the World. Or not of the world, I'm sorry. The Octopus Capital of Portugal. Anyway, that's how they build themselves. And it was pretty interesting. It was a nice little walk down the river there, and well, I say the river, it's an estuary. So we're right on the edge of the Rio Formosa Natural Park, which is a big, long stretch of salt marshes that between here and the Atlantic Ocean. The Atlantic is just about, I don't know, maybe from where I'm standing, a couple kilometers from here. So you take a ferry to go down the river here and through the marshes, and then you can get dropped off on the island over there. Have you picked a favorite village yet? Oh gosh, Pam, you know, probably Tavira at this point. Um, we've been to a few places along the Algarve. Some of them are a little bigger than Tavira, and like Santa Lucia's a little smaller. There's another town east of here called Villa Real de San Antonio, and it's right over near the Spanish border. We are about 18 miles from the Spanish border. I'm doing a postcard shot here, a vertical one, of this memorial, and this light flickers and comes on and off. There's something wrong with it, but this memorial is for some civil unrest that happened in 1383 to 1385. There was a fight over the crown from a couple of brothers that were trying to take over. One lived in Brazil, was already ruling Brazil, and wanted to come back and take Portugal. I think that's the way I read it anyways. And so for a couple of years, they had a little bit of civil unrest, kind of a civil war, and that's the memorial for that. So how's the surfing? The surfing is really good in Portugal. And matter of fact, it's one of the best, considered one of the best places to surf in the world, and especially for people that want to do adventure surfing, extreme surfing, up in a town called Nazaré, about halfway up the coast of Portugal, north of Lisbon. They are compete there in the winter months here from around October, November up through February. They have some of the tallest, biggest waves on in the world. And matter of fact, they're listed as having potentially having 100-foot waves. And from what I hear, that's the one the extreme surfers want to ride. But yeah, Pam says surfing excellent on the Silver Coast. Yeah, so you go up a little bit farther on the Silver Coast there, which part of Portugal called the Silver Coast. It's about midway up on the coast, and some excellent surfing there. We actually saw a guy surfing here the other day, just really small waves. He wasn't doing a lot, but a small break close to Tavira. Oh, so Karina, I guess you're asking about surfing, a break near Tavira. Yeah, so we saw a guy surfing here the other day, and the waves were big enough for him to surf on. They weren't real tall, and we took a couple of pictures of it. As a matter of fact, that reminds me, I got to send him the pictures we took of him surfing. We got to chat with him just for a minute. A young man that was visiting his family over here in Tavira. So here's, from this view, I'm actually standing on what's called the Roman Bridge. It's not really Roman, but it is kind of built on a used to be a Roman road that came across here in a bridge that was developed over hundreds of years, even back into 8th century BC. They have evidence of Phoenicians living in this area. It's been a fishing village and area for many, many years. And all the way up until the 1950s, tuna was the major economic driver. And then the migration shifted. The bluefin tuna, they moved to another area, other areas in their migration. And so about 1950s, the Algarve region. A lot of these cities and towns, villages turn to tourism. So let's see. That's good. Senior citizen nurse. Okay. Yeah. Thanks. That's from Portugal. Kind of reading through the chats here to see if I can help facilitate anything. Yeah. What time is it here? It's actually, see, I started about 8:30, so it's almost 9 p.m. here. We're about 5 to 8 hours ahead of time zones in the U.S. I know there's folks on here from other parts of the world too, from UK, from Canada, and all over. So we're in the Western European time zone, if that helps. We're actually at the 0 hour of the Greenwich Mean Time time zone index. It is quiet tonight, Linda. You might have heard a little bell. There's a church down the way here, and that bell was ringing. So it's a bigger city you need to go to blend in, not the lovely smaller place we're all tempted by. Yeah, it depends on what you're after. So somebody had mentioned earlier, how do you get to know people? Well, I mentioned the Facebook group that we are part of, and then also when we got here, we realized there was an expat group that meets once a week on Wednesdays in a hotel bar up here on the roof. And they do that every week. And a guy here named Rui started the meetups. He was actually Portuguese descent, but moved to the U.S. In his childhood and lived there for a lot of years until his adult life. He grew up. He decided to move back over here, and so he's been a great facilitator of those events and helps a lot of people from the U.S. make the transition. He knows a lot about the immigration laws and the process and things like that. He's not a lawyer. I'm not going to say that, and I'm not going to bill him as one. So, if you have any legal questions, I definitely say, there are attorneys here that can help you make that move. But we found the process, we did everything ourselves except for opening our bank account and securing our, it's called a NIF. It's a national identification number for tax purposes that you have to be a resident over here. And we used a company called Border IO. And they, for a fee, they took care of everything, power of attorney and all that we needed. I'm going to walk down the river here a little ways so that we can look back at the Roman Bridge. It's a really nice view in the evening with the lights on. I'm going to go and pan back over here just for a minute, though, show you where we came from. Thanks, guys, so much for coming tonight. And gosh, it's a good group, good turnout. I'm so happy you're able to spend your time with me here. Shirley, we moved here September 14th of 2022. So what does that make? November, December, January. Yeah, oh wow, we've been here longer than I thought, about 6 months almost. So we've been back to the U.S. Once for birth of a granddaughter and visit with family from mid-December to mid-January. This area here, the town square, it really is lovely. I think everyone is at home with their family. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's, like I say, in the off season when the tourists aren't here, the middle of the week is not very lively. They are going to have carnival here. Thanks, John. I appreciate that. Thanks for the support. All across the Algarve region, they'll have carnival. And so they'll have parades and things like that going on. In Tavira, they have a kids parade, and then they have some dance parties in the evenings here in the municipal building. or I say municipal building. That's a municipal building over here, but there's a Mercado da Ribeira. But this area I'm showing you here, this big circle in the middle, and if you'll look here, we got some kind of amphitheater style seating. So this is where a lot of times they have concerts and big events and things like that, gatherings for people to have a good view of what's going on. So they'll actually set up a big stage. They'll do a raised platform here in this area and have a stage for music and things like that. Yeah, Jill, Tavira is beautiful at night. And that's, other than the fact of trying to get people in the time zones in the U.S. to see Tavira, because, like I said, we're 5 to 8 hours ahead of the time zones in the U.S. It's just beautiful. It's beautiful. Now you can hear the church bells. Okay, they stopped. I don't know. My microphone is really meant just to pick up my voice and to drown out background noises. So sometimes I have to redirect it if we want to hear things like church bells and things like that. So this is the Rio Gilao. And being in the U.S. dragged Portugal forward a century. Yeah. So yeah, Portugal being a member of the EU and one of the 26 countries regulated by the Schengen agreements to travel between borders without a lot of paperwork. LGBTQ friendly. Karina, I would say I don't have a lot of experience with that, but I think what I've seen is it is friendly. They're friendly people, very accommodating, very open, I think, to different cultures. So on this part of the world, it seems like cultures are accepted for what they are. And those kinds of things are, individual choices and things like that. Thanks, Pam. Appreciate the support. Are I say tolerated, but I think more than that, I think really it's just friendly to everybody here. But you can do some research on that, and find out Portugal and Europe and those kinds of things. The Algarve region is, like I said, it's real filled with tourists from all over the world. UK hadn't left the EU, could have just moved there. Right. You're right, John. Brexit kind of messed that up for you, didn't it? Sorry about that. Yeah, we've got some friends that from the UK, and they had actually moved over here prior to that. And some of them moved kind of when it was all happening. So it kind of put a little wrinkle in their immigration process. Marguerite, hi, good to have you, and Barry. So I'm going to walk down this way a little bit and pan back over again to the town square, and then I'm going to go through this little park. So you can see the police car there, just kind of monitoring downtown area. And this again is the back over. You'll notice too, in Portugal, at least we noticed that there's some graffiti, quite a bit, at least more than we're used to from where we're at in the U.S. in the Midwest. I know it's like there's more in bigger cities in the U.S., but there's also a lot of street art. And that's one of the tours that I plan to do soon. There's a fishing village called Olau that is not too far from here, and we get on. We can travel and be over there on the train in about less than 30 minutes. And it's a pretty good sized city. It's probably as big as Tavira as far as population. But they're taller buildings. It's more urban, and so there are a lot of street art, graffiti that's a little bit more than just words sprayed on something. So let me look here. Polly say VRC, you'd be okay with young people, but there's still a bit of uncertainty among older folk. Rural France is anything to go by, not hatred, just disapproval. What's the Pope's view? Yeah, so as far as religion here, there's 37 churches, Catholic churches in Tavira. Many of them are from as early as the 12th, 13th, and 12th centuries was the original date that they were built, when the Christian knights, the Crusaders, came through and conquered the Moors who were here, who inhabited here for hundreds of years, about 500 years preceding that, from like 800s to around the 1100, 1200 era. And they're from North Africa and Morocco. They were Muslim. So that was a big influence, of course, on this area. After the Crusaders came through, conquered Portugal and Spain, they were a lot of people converted, of course, to Catholicism, and the Moors were kind of driven out and put in different areas of the cities and things like that. And but there is still a Moorish influence on the architecture. Some of the buildings, they'll have a arabesque style architecture with some of the big domes and things. I know we went over to Portimao, which is a city that's about an hour west of here, and there's a lot of arabesque architecture there. This is a little gazebo down in the middle. Thank you, Polly. I appreciate the support. It's a little gazebo down here in the middle of this little park. And so during weekends and when they have holidays or events, things like that, this area here is usually pretty full. And you can see behind me, I'm going to pan around so you can see it, that little tent set up. There are vendors that will set up similar tents like that all along this area, and then we'll go down a little further and I'll show you another area where they set up. It's closer to the Mercado. If you want and can't get us live TV, let me know. Oh, US live TV. Okay. All right. Thanks, John. I appreciate that. Yeah, we've got a Roku right now, but we don't watch a lot of TV actually. We have a subscription to Amazon Prime, and I think that's about it. We did have Netflix, but we kind of let that one go. We've got plenty to do and see, so we don't. Not that there's some good stuff out there, some good shows. We've watched most recently on Amazon Prime. There's one about an eco challenge and racers that are going through Fiji, teams of 4, and it's an endurance race. So they're biking, swimming, hiking, navigating through jungle and all those kinds of things. How long does it take to get an Amazon package? Karina, well, we actually had an Amazon. You mean a delivery? It kind of depends. So since we're in Portugal, we order, it's amazon.es.pt. So it's actually, a lot of our stuff comes from Spain and Germany. So other parts of Europe, but it's probably similar to times in the US. Maybe not quite as fast, but it just depends on what you're ordering and stuff. So some of the electronics come from certain parts of Europe, and then 2 days. Yeah, I would say we've gotten stuff in 2 days. We've got stuff the next day. Just depends on what warehouse it's in. So yeah. So that's handy. And these little park benches, and they're in the day. And I'll do some more tours during the day too. So I know a lot of people like to get this walk through Tavira and be able to see a little bit more activity. So down here, this is the square I was talking about this big long section here from the end of the park. You can see there's a little stage set up right here. I'm sure there's going to be some performance here, music or something like that. There's going to be some kids activities, I know, this weekend for the carnival. So this place will be a lot fuller then. Yeah, even more activity. Yeah, so this building down here, that's the Mercado de Riviera, or the market on the river. And they actually have that set up inside there for some dancing and stuff. And we'll go down there in just a minute. But before it gets too late, I want to get back over here on the bridge and pan back towards the Roman bridge and the river and that kind of thing. So Tavira and Phoenix, the same temperature right now. Yeah, I could believe that. So this is the Rio Gilao, and we're looking downstream. That goes out through the Rio Formosa Natural Park and then out into the Atlantic Ocean. Oh, thanks, Melly. Yeah, it can be very romantic here in the evening. You find couples and things like that out having a little bit of a walk in the evenings. And then I'm going to kind of shine back over here. You can't see as much, but my camera maybe will pick up some of the light. Yeah, it is very soothing. The average temperature in the winter, daytime in the 50 degrees Fahrenheit to 40s at night. And so you'll have to convert that to Celsius if that's your scale. I'm not as familiar with that. I'm going to zoom in a little bit and get you a little closer to the Roman bridge here. So that's a pretty bridge. When you look up Portugal, especially if you look up Tavira, you're probably going to see a picture of this bridge on Google. You know, it's just one of the most photographed bridges in the Algarve and in all of Portugal, actually. So there's a story about the river here, the Rio Gilao, and so during the days when the Moors were still here and the Christians were on one side of the river and the Moors were on the other, there's a legend of a Moorish princess and a Christian knight who would meet in the middle of this bridge and to see each other in the evening. They knew their love was forbidden, so one evening they were caught, and they didn't want to, be caught and separated. I don't think it's not really common to throw coins in the water here. I think it's probably kind of advised against because there's part of the ecosystem here. It probably wouldn't be good for it. There's a lot of fish and other animals here. But thanks, Melly. I appreciate the support. So back to the story. A Moorish princess and a Christian knight caught in the middle of the bridge. So rather than be taken and separated, they decided to throw themselves into the river, and the princess threw herself on the upstream side, and the knight threw himself on the downstream side. So the name of the river actually changes. As soon as you get upstream of the Roman bridge, the river is called the Rio Segua, named after the Moorish princess. Just a little bit of trivia there for you. So it looks like it's getting close to time for me to wrap this up. I thought I might be able to make it up to the top of the big bridge up there tonight, but don't know if I'm going to quite get there. Thanks, Karina. I do appreciate that. And hopefully you guys, follow me, get those notifications. I'm going to be throwing up some more tours on the schedule soon. Matter of fact, when I get home tonight, I'll probably go ahead and post that one for the beach for next week and some other things. I got a long list of places that Lori and I want to see and visit, not only in the Algarve region of Portugal, but all over Portugal. And then as we travel over into Spain and some of the other areas of Europe, we will take you along with us and look at Rick and Lori's grandadventure.com and the Facebook site, and you'll see some of our other adventures. Cabanish is kind of how it's pronounced, Cabanish, Tavira, and I'm actually standing on the vehicle side of the bridge, so I need to get back over here to the walking side so I don't get run over. I'm going to go ahead and turn this around so I can finish up this wonderful tour and kind of get the Roman bridge there behind me. Oh, thank you, Leslie. I appreciate that. Birding good in the estuaries. Yes, Yvonne. Actually, there's a park up here where you can go strictly for that, for bird watching. There's a lot of opportunity there for taking pictures. There are flamingos out here in the salt pans. And so we'll get to see those if you'll ride with me on the ferry. When I get that, I think it's going to be Tuesday morning now is where I'm going to put that one on and go out to the island for the Golden Sand Beach out there. Thanks for the support, guys, and the tips. I really do appreciate that. And so we'll be doing that. Yeah, they are. And then there's a lot of storks here. We see a lot of storks in the taller towers, sometimes in the power line towers, sometimes on these old, which used to be tuna processing plants, have some old smokestacks, and almost every single one of them has a big old huge stork nest. And right now they're actually having babies. I was able to see a stork and a baby in the nest the other day. It was exciting. I got a picture. It didn't turn out all that great because I had to zoom in quite a bit, but that was fun. That was exciting. So thank you, guys. Oh, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Karina. And I do really hope that you'll join again. Like I said, just follow me on Heygo and you'll get those notifications. If you want to know more about me and about Rick and Lori's Grand Adventure, you can go to that on Facebook or our website. And not much time to industrialize. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Melly. Romantic. Yeah. So I'll get a little zoom maybe for the Roman bridge there. It's not too good, kind of blurry because it's focusing on me. You're welcome, Jill. And wonderful to have you here as well. Thanks, Beta. I appreciate your support, and I'm glad you guys enjoyed this tour. And I look forward to doing more of these. So, thanks, Pam. Each tour gets better. Good. I hope I'm getting a little bit better each time. That's the goal. Yeah. So I appreciate your support. Leave a review if you feel led, and it's great to have you guys here. So it's about time for me to sign off. Thanks, Millie. Yeah, from Germany. Yeah, what's really cool about Heygo is people from all over the world can join and see things that they would never get to see otherwise. I really appreciate the platform, that Heygo gives us to be able to do these virtual tours. Thanks, Yvonne. I appreciate the encouragement, guys. It keeps me going. Helps me want to do some more of these. All right. See you soon, Jill. And so I'm going to go ahead and sign off, guys. Oh, yeah, good. Yeah, I try to learn a little bit and as much as I can about an area before I do the tour. Sometimes I forget things, but I've done Tavira a few times, so I can kind of remember a little bit more of Tavira. All right, bye-bye, and we'll see you guys next time. Like I said, follow and tune in, and God bless. I love you all. We'll see you next time.